Last week we saw the SPY broke this trend line here and also made a higher high. It took out this high on Friday. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the SPY, the QQQ, to see what are some of the price levels to keep an eye on in the coming week. In addition, we're going to take a look at Tesla and a few of these with hot semiconductor stocks such as Micron, Western Digital, NVDA, and SanDisk. So if we look at the SPY here and it broke this trend line here, most likely it's going to be coming up to possibility of getting up to this all-time high. And that's where we most likely will see some initial resistance. Then if it push back down, then we probably will be looking at the possibility of finding some potential support down in this area. Now we do have a little bit of a double distribution on the volume profile. So there is a little bit of a volume dent here. And if it come down, we could also possibly find potential support here and look for a bounce back up. If it does break to a new all-time high, this is one way to project one of the possible price target. So we could do a this distribution on a 1x, or you could do a entire balance area here and do a 1x from this range here. So we're just going to do and get this 100% major move, and that will put it somewhere around 785 area. And if you want to be a little bit more conservative, then you could look at it in the point of here, possibly this 1x of this area, then you'd be looking at maybe around 770. And here we are looking at the QQQ, the NASDAQ 100 ETF. It is kind of lagging behind the SPY here. See that it is still a little bit away from this trend line, although we could have a little bit of a shorter term trend line here. And if it breaks this trend line, then we could see it maybe possibly come up here. And again, just like the SPY, once it breaks this trend line, the next potential resistance will be up here near the all-time high. And if it, decide to pull back a little bit, then we could see this low volume area here as the potential support. You can see there has been some support here in the recent past. So if we see the price break out into the all-time high, and we could measure the range, do a 1x range of this balance area here, get this here. So we do a 1x. Then you can see that the 100% is be somewhere around 1 or 795. I do have to measure move, the weekly expected move for the SPY and the QQQ. And if you're interested in getting those, just go and click on the link on this post here in my newsletter at Substack, and I have the link in the description below. Let's take a look at Tesla. Do a trend line here. We see that Tesla could be coming up to this trend line. And also there is a longer term supporting trend line here. So you can see that been holding these trend line and sort of forming a little bit of a wedge. So we're basically looking for either Tesla come down to this trend line or break this trend line and try to move up to the recent pivot high. And we could see that there is a little bit of a resistance, this low volume area here. So if we mark this off, and we can see that there is a potential resistance up here at 475. And in addition to that, we can also notice that there could be a possible support down in this low volume zone or this low volume area. So if the price come down here to this trend line, we're basically looking at this somewhere around 370 area. If it breaks this trend line, we can look at potentially a move up to this 475. Now, once again, if it break this trend line and break out of this zone here, then we could do a little bit of a range extension, and we just do a 1x extension from this range here, and we can see that at 100%, that will bring it up to the 553 level, 80%, somewhere around 534. All right, let's take a look at some of the semiconductor stock here, starting with Micron. See, Micron made a new all-time high since its recent earning report, and ever since then they've been coming down, and we could put in a trend line here. Seems to be trending downward underneath this trend line. Now there is a potential supporting trend line here, and if we could mark this off, so you can see that it is kind of wedging into this apex. And let me zoom this out here a little bit more, and we can see that there is a potential low volume area here that could provide some potential support if the price come down to this area. Now, if we move up into this area, we can see that there could be a little bit of a resistance up here, and then the all-time high area here that could also act as potential resistance. So right now there is a little bit of a volume area. We could see the price chopping around within this area here, but if it break this volume zone, this low volume zone here, then the next potential area of support could be down in this low volume area. So kind of keep an eye on this area, the 878 or 879 level, and also this 1150. Now, if it break out of this area here, we could do a little bit of a range extension measure move to see where it could project up to the upside, and you can see the 100% that will put it up at the 1415 area. And looking at SanDisk, notice SanDisk in the sympathy move with Micron's post-earning reaction. Micron made a new all-time high, but SanDisk did not. SanDisk made a new all-time high prior to that. So right now, SanDisk has also been coming down since the post-Micron's earning. And here we could possibly put a trend line here. And also there is a potential supporting trend line here, right? And if we could take a look at the volume profile, let me zoom this in, and we can see some of these low volume zone, and those are the potential support and resistance area. We can see that if we come up to this trend line here, there is a little bit of a low volume area here at the all-time high. Now there is this little bit of a double distribution, a little bit small volume dent here. So there could be a little bit of a choppy action just right over here on this, potential support and resistance area. And then down here at this level here, that we could also potentially find possible support if the price dipped down to this trend line. But if it fell and break this trend line here, then we're gonna be looking at this area for the next potential support and resistance. Let me restore this a little bit more here, and basically you want to put it up here in this area. Okay, so that is the next potential support if we break this area here. Now, if we come up to this trend line and break out of this zone and into a new all-time high, then we could do a range extension, between this range here, from here to the top here, and do 100% range extension, and we can see what that give us. So at the 100%, we're talking about $3,052 or $3,053. Even at 80%, we're talking about 2,900. So that is quite a move here. And here's another memory-oriented semiconductor stock, pretty much playing the same arena as Micron and also SanDisk, and it's Western Digital. As you can see, Western Digital also been coming down as well from the post-Micron earning. But it appeared that it might have broken this trend line a little bit, making a little bit of a peak above. So we'll see would it actually be able to come up and put in a higher high, maybe take out this pivot high here. Now there is the potential supporting trend line down here, and if we draw this here, so we could see a price come back down into this little bit of a high volume area. Let me zoom this in, and then we can see what are some of the potential support and resistance level. So we do see a little bit of a low volume down here, and we could possibly see some support down here on the near term. Now, if this thing pushes up, we could see a little bit of a resistance from this volume dent here, and once it breaks through that, then we'll be looking at the possibility of come up to this all-time high. Now, if the price breaks down below this zone here, this 491 area, and we could look at the possibility of making it all the way back down to this area somewhere around this 350 area here. And basically that's where it all started, right? On this breakout from this big swing. You notice this swing from this area here, from this 350 all the way up to an all-time high. It's under very low volume, right? Thin volume here on this move, so there's not much of a support here. It seems like people just kind of chasing this stock up. So we kind of keep an eye on that. If it come down, it's going to come down pretty quick because there's not much of a volume going up to support the price coming down. All right, finally looking at NVDA, the one that started this AI stuff. So right now we see that NVDA, after spending quite a period in this zone here, let me draw this zone, from this support level here, this area, to this low volume here. Let me mark this off, and you can see by using the volume profile, the low volume and the high volume area, you could easily identify these potential resistance support zone here. So you can see NVIDIA have been spending quite an amount of time within this range here, and it finally broke through this 200 area here and came back to a back test and pushed up to a new all-time high. And now it came back down to this area once again recently. And in addition to that, we also notice that there is a potential trend line here, and it could be trying to work itself back up into this trend line and try to break into the all-time high here. So if I zoom out on this here and look at this right here, there is a potential, okay, resistance up here near this 230 area. And if we do this, then we look at the possibility of come up to the all-time high. Now, if the price get rejected and pushed back down below this zone, then we can see this high volume area could spend some time chopping around to work itself down to this 165 area. So if you'd like to get more analysis from me, go to visit my Substack newsletter. I'll have the link in the description below. And you can also check out this article here where I give you a overview of where the market is and what are some of the possibility of where the market might be headed. So thank you for watching and good luck on your trading.